Hi, this is Nadir Ahmed. I was just watching the video by Nabeel Qureshi, and I thought I might make my own little video in response to it. For those of you who don't know Nabeel Qureshi, he was basically a person who belonged to the Ahmadiyya sect of Islam, and he converted to Christianity and then became an apologist against Islam and started writing different so-called refutations about it. So he had some news on his website, and basically he has been diagnosed with stomach cancer stage 4, and he was mentioning that the radiation didn't work and the cancer has spread to his lymph nodes. We don't know what to do next. So that would raise some questions as to why. How do you explain this? Well, there's a couple of possibilities. Maybe this could be a test from God, or maybe God wants Nabeel to come to him now. But there's also a third hypothetical possibility, which may not be very popular, and that is maybe God has stricken Nabeel to show some kind of sign. Now, I'm sure probably most of you would dismiss number 3 and seems unlikely. And yeah, you were just to look at this probably. But here's a problem. There's a big elephant in the room. And that this is not some kind of isolated occurrence. Rather, what we see is a pattern, a consistent pattern of people like Nabeel who oppose Islam, and calamities and bad things happen in their life. Let's take another look at another example here. I'll just play this video for you.
Rivka Berry, the teenage runaway who fled from her parents' home after they discovered she was a Christian, has been diagnosed with uterine cancer. Friends say the 17-year-old has already had 2 surgeries and is getting ready to undergo a 3rd surgery on Thursday.
Okay, so now that's 2. Now, clearly not enough to establish a pattern, but it kind of gets your head scratching here. Well, what could this be? Let's get back to Nabeel Qureshi for a second. The person who actually converted Nabeel was a person named David Wood, and he actually started a blog, and one of the most insipid anti-Islamic blogs in which he reviles and attacks everything about Islam. What's interesting was, according to my friend Nasser Shams, he took a Mubahila challenge, in which, this is a verse in the Quran for those of you who are not familiar with it, in which you basically call your whole family and everybody together, and you invoke the curse of God upon the one who is wrong. And let's just read the verse for ourselves here. It says, if anyone disputes in this matter with thee, now after full knowledge has come to thee, say, come, let us gather together our sons and your sons, our women and your women, ourselves and yourselves, and let us earnestly pray and invoke the curse of God on those who lie. After it was reported that he made this challenge, he accepted this, and with Nasser Shams, this is what David Wood, the friend of Nabeel Qureshi, put on his website. His wife gave birth to 2 sons with this disorder called mitubular myopathy. Now, when I look at these type of pictures, this doesn't bring me any kind of joy or happiness. This is just gut-wrenching, horrible. And all of this, what I'm presenting to you, is a big shock to me as well. I actually don't know how to interpret all of this, but this is it's horrible. Let's keep going. At another Muslim convert, now his name is Antonio Centeno. He's actually somebody I know personally. Let's listen to his testimony again here.
And I was a Muslim. He devoted himself to Islam, yet something was still missing. I was praying 5 times a day, but every time I knelt down in prayer, it felt like I was praying to a brick wall.
Like I said, he's a friend of mine. He's interpreted. I mean, he's entitled to his own interpretation here. Once again, we see the same trend happening. This is what he has posted on his website, or his Facebook page. He says, I'm just a regular guy that has MS. Having MS has made me disabled, but my joy is in Jesus Christ. So now we have Nabeel Qureshi, Rifka Bari, we have David Wood, and we have Antonio Santana. So when we go back and look at our possibilities, number 3 doesn't look so crazy anymore. You know, we are seeing a pattern emerge here. But if all of this is not clear enough for you, let's look at this example, and this is something I have personally witnessed. So I attended this lecture over here. This is back in 1996. What the church doesn't know about Islam. Pay close attention to this woman over here. Her name is Maddie Dawson. And this was just an event in which they reviled, rebuked, and cursed the name of Islam and Muhammad. It was horrible. Now, why would Christians engage in such, denigration of a religion? I don't know why you would want to do that. But anyway, that's a different topic. What's very interesting is that the morning of this event, this woman, Maddie Dawson, had some kind of strange illness in which she dropped dead that very same day. Or was it the next day? I don't know. She was pronounced dead. Notice, this is February 24th, 1996. If you go to that church, you'll see they actually got a placard of her. This is New Hope Ministries. There's Maddie Dawson. And if you look at that, April 23rd, she died February 27th, 1996, one day after. She dropped dead the same day of the very anti-Islamic event she was hosting. February 24th, 1996, she dropped dead February 27th, 1996. That's incredible. Could this be, let's look at our options. Could this be a test from God? Maybe God wants Maddie Dawson and Nabeel and Antonio Santana and Rifka Bari to come to him now? It don't seem like a very viable options anymore. There's only one option which seems to make sense here. So this is compelling. Like I said, this is it's just as much of a shock to me as it is to you. Well, anyway, let's keep going. This guy, Pastor Haman Cross, once again, we see something bad happen to him. He was involved inside some kind of sex scandal, and it's pretty disgusting stuff. I'll let you read it for yourself, in which he counseled some woman, and you can read it for yourself. There's no need to go into any of this type of detail. Her name was Donna Scott. So from this one anti-Islamic event in which they rebuked Islam, this guy we see was stricken with some kind of affliction. She dropped dead either the same day or the next day or whatever. Unbelievable. So one cannot deny that there is a trend over here. Let's move on to the next piece of evidence. And that is the case of this family. It says the Egyptian Coptic Christian family, and I'm forgetting their names. let me look for it real quick over here. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Hossam Aramanes. Now, this is very interesting. Here was a guy who used to get on Pal Talk, and he used to curse the name of Prophet Muhammad. And so basically, to make a long story short, some people broke into his home, and as you can read the article yesterday, bind, gagged, and cut the throats of his entire family, including him. And here was a cursor of Muhammad. Now, many of you might be thinking, oh, those were Muslims who did it. No. And a lot of people even think that, by the way, till today, those Muslims did it. But an investigation was conducted upon this matter, and it's concluded this was just a robbery, some bizarre robbery which gone bad. Let's read over here. For many New Jersey City Muslims and Copts who had lived in peace for years, but who had feared that the case might lead to the kind of sectarian strife that has plagued their communities in Egypt for centuries, there was an expression of relief that the two men, neither Egyptian nor Muslim, had been charged in this murderous robbery. What they're saying here is the people who committed this crime, heinous crime, had nothing to do with Islam. These were some drug addicts or something like that who did this. But like I said, even till today, people are speculating that maybe somehow, some way they're affiliated, but I don't think so. So at this point, I think we've seen something pretty profound over here. But this gets worse and worse and worse. Let's take a look at Ergen Canner, ex-Muslim, evangelist leader. He was exposed as some kind of fake, and you can go on, and he made all kinds of erroneous claims about himself being this terrorist expert or something like that. And we can go on to this person, Walid Shobat. CNN exposed him. He was another Muslim convert to Christianity. And as you can read over here, he was exposed as some kind of fraud.
To the pocket of a man who claims to have unique insight on terrorism.
I'm sorry, that video didn't come out very well. But basically, if you watch this, you can see he was exposed as some kind of fraud. Let's make some concluding remarks. You can look at our three options again over here. Does this make sense? If we were to look at all of this, well, it doesn't make sense. Does this make sense? Probably not. You cannot look at these options and look at the family who got all their throats slit, God forbid, where are they? You cannot look at that and say maybe God is testing their faith. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, it's hypothetically possible. You cannot look at Maddie Dawson, who died the very same day or the next day of her event in which she rebuked Islam. You can't look at that and say that's some kind of test. Okay, or now again, it's hypothetically possible, but kind of unlikely. So what my point here is there is a pattern here. And I don't know how to interpret it. Now the question also we can ask, is there any kind of pattern for Islam where people who rebuke Christianity or refute Christianity, does this happen? No, there's no pattern. We find one isolated occurrence with Ahmadidat. Ahmadidat in his, I think he was almost 80 or something like that, he had a stroke and became paralyzed. Having a stroke and become paralyzed is kind of open for interpretation at that age. But once again, this could all be a test from God. This could be maybe God wants Didat to come to him now. And again, all these possibilities exist. We can't rule them out. So how do you interpret it? I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to answer. And by the way, even with Didat, another televangelist, Jimmy Swaggart, in 1986, had a debate with him in which he made some kind of claim that, if I recall correctly, that he basically mocked the institution of polygamy in Islam. A year after that, he was caught in a sex scandal. So, this is a short list. This is a short list, and I can go on. This video can literally go on forever. So many examples. So how do you interpret it? I don't know. Some people may say, hey, I hate Islam, I rebuke Islam, I'm fine. Well, that may be true, because maybe the intent here is, is to make a sign and to show, hey, listen, what you're doing is not right. So again, this is just all open for interpretation. Some can look at Syria and say, aha, maybe those people are cursed because of all the tragedies happening there. Can't rule it out. It's all hypothetically possible. We can probably agree with that, but what are they cursed for? Once again, the sky's the limit as far as the interpretation we can come up. Some people say, you see, because they fell away from faith, not being good enough Muslims. Some people say because they are Muslim. And once again, it would be a 2-hour discussion. So there's really no pattern or trend you can pin against Islam. So going back to Nabeel, like I said, I'm not going to make the decision for you. I want you to make the decision for yourself, because I really don't know how to interpret it. So anyway, that's really all I had to share with you. And I want to thank you for listening to this video.